Well, welcome back. We At the last lesson we were in lesson 18, and I had discovered that there had been some problems with the Revelation to John site, Facebook site, and it was missing one lesson, and so I've added that in. It was lesson 15. Maybe it's there twice for some of you, but anyway, it's there now again. It's a little bit out of sequence with the others. I've been posting them in sequence, but computers being what they are, and some of the other issues that we have with these things lately, uh, I'm not sure they're mostly in sequence, but if there's 15 is out of sequence. It comes in, and it might be in the right sequence as well, but I couldn't find it. So here we are in lesson 19, and we're working our way through chapter 8 of the book of Revelation. And we're actually at probably the halfway mark, or better than halfway through the series, although we're not halfway through all the chapters if we just go by numbers. So the last lesson, the last verse that I read, I kind of left you hanging there on purpose, in Revelation chapter 8 was verse 6. And it says this: Then the seven angels who had the seven trumpets prepared to sound them. And then I commented that the sevenfold judgment is about to begin. So let's pick it up from there. So let's see, what do these trumpets of the angels really signify? Let's go to chapter 8, verse 7. And it says this, and I'm reading again. I say this often, but I'm reading from the New International Version, and it begins, verse 7, chapter 8. The first angel sounded his trumpet, and there came hail and fire mixed with blood, and it was hurled down upon the earth. A third of the earth was burned up, a third of the trees were burned up, and all the green grass was burned up. In Revelations chapter 8, we see hail and lightning mingled with blood, mixed with blood. And this is not a new phenomenon. We find similar things in the book of Exodus, and Moses having his confrontations with Pharaoh. But Revelation chapter 8 sees a time when hail and fire mingled with blood will descend not upon some isolated region of the earth, but over great portions of the land. It will devastate much of our natural world. Notice that the plagues of the first four trumpets all fall on creation, causing a lot of environmental damage. And it's as though the Lord was saying, you have taken the natural world for granted, abused it, and plundered it. And so you want a devastated world, you're going to get it. And as always, the worst judgment God can mete out to sinful humanity, to give what humanity really is asking for. Now, we may not have been asking for this in a sense, but our actions were saying that we were. So the next John describes the judgment brought about by the second angel and the second trumpet. The second angel sounded his trumpet on verses 8 and 9, chapter 8, verses 8 and 9. The second angel sounded his trumpet, and something like a huge mountain, all ablaze, was thrown into the sea. A third of the sea turned into blood. A third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. This sort of continues on with this, the first angel. This is now the second angel. Now the first trumpet judgment assaulted the earth. The second assaulted the sea. It's like a great blazing mountain-like object falls into the sea. And this could be caused by something coming from the sky, or it could be a volcano exploding and spurting volcanic ash and fire and molten lava all over the earth, or a third of the earth? We don't know. But whatever this mountain-like object is, it will cause the sea to become blood red. And the result of this will leave a third of all marine life dead, a third of all shipping destroyed. And when we go on to verses 10 and 11, we find the third angel and the judgment brought about by the third angel and the third trumpet. 8 verses 10 to 11. The third angel sounded his trumpet, and a great star, blazing like a torch, fell from the sky, and a third of the rivers on the springs of the water. And the name of the star is Wormwood. A third of the waters turned bitter, and many people died from the waters that had become bitter. It's interesting to speculate that the form of poisoning described in these verses might actually be a form of radiation, or it could be a whole lot of different things. But we don't know exactly what it is. But these things, it was a poisonous thing. And wormwood is a plant that grows in Asia and parts of Europe, and it's got a very bitter taste and is poisonous. So we can sort of relate that to this, can't you? With this, something very poisonous, something very bitter. It's going to be a poisonous, bitter experience. And this destruction probably depicts a symbolic as well as a literal dimension. And it's designed to teach us that God's truth about the realm of man's eternal being. Rivers, of course, symbolize great mass of people moving in one direction, like a river flowing. Entire populations caught up on one idea, of one mindset, moving like a river towards a single destination. The spring symbolizes the source of moral and philosophical leadership, and the star symbolizes could symbolize a prominent leader. And it appears from these symbols that some great person, widely recognized as a leader, will suddenly reverse his policy, and he will become, well, in essence, he'll fall. Many people will be embittered by the turnabout of this influential leader, and in the mass struggle that ensues, many will experience moral and spiritual decay and death. And this is exactly the scene that is described for us later in Revelation under the rule of the beast that comes from the earth. Furthermore, in Revelation 9, we'll see a similar star when we witness the fifth and sixth trumpets of judgment. Now, we're going to leave it at that, and we'll pick it up at the fourth angel in the next lesson. So this is lesson 19, and we'll leave it there. And that gives us another 8 or 9 minutes to kind of study, and we'll move on from there in the next lesson. God bless you. Thanks for joining me.